should we just start with a little intro to our lovely guest, Andrea, who is the CEO of Mitre and a woman of many hats. A lot of past lives, I hear.
Yeah.
An accountant and
that didn't last long.
Yeah. Yeah, you're too fun for that.
No, I talk too much. You can't bill out 2-minute increments if you don't stop talking. You actually got to get some work done as an accountant if you want to make any money.
Yeah. So maybe just start with a little bit of background and we'll go from there.
Sure.
What does it mean to have a human in the loop?
What's human in the loop?
Human in the loop. What in the world is a human in the loop?
Being a human in the loop.
AI in the loop. Humans in charge.
Welcome to Human in the Loop.
Yeah, gosh, where do you start there? In terms of work, I guess I've worn a lot of different hats. Married a dairy farmer, so went from being a townie to being rural. Had a large blended family with him. So 7 children and 10 grandchildren.
And you decided to add some dogs into the mix as well?
I've always had dogs and cats, always a big menagerie. And I studied actually. So I got married quite young. So I studied while I was having children and farming and really learnt a lot of, good discipline about being a distance learner when you're living rurally and you're having to crack the whip on yourself about getting things done. Yeah. So I think that was as much of the learning actually as the degree.
Bit of the dairy farming discipline in that, because Yeah,
I think so too, because you're working 7 days a week, and you just have to keep going, right?
Yeah.
There's people relying on you, animals relying on you. So really enjoyed that. Ended up in private equity. So did a number of things doing that. Built a bloodstock breeding and racing facility from doing a dairy farm conversion. Ended up going into retail quite late, really. I've only been in retail about 15 years, which is interesting because a lot of people just expect you've been doing it since you were in nappies. But once I had my first retail gig, which was actually with Bendon, I think it just gets in your blood. So quite different going from, and after bloodstock, there'd been commercial property, there'd been further dairy farm. Conversion work, a whole bunch of different things. In PE, you tend to do a lot of different things. But once I went into Bendon, I think that particularly going from strategies that were like, years and years to prove a stallion, for example, years and years waiting for animals to grow and prove whether they could win a race, to go into something like retail where you're only as good as the money in the till at the end of the day, I really liked that.
Yeah. Quite fast-paced and reactive and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, you can have all the strategy you like, but your customers will tell you, your team will tell you, and the money's there or it isn't there. It's good. I like it. Yeah,
That's
but
awesome.
then, and I've stuck with retail since then.
Yeah, and you just double down.
Yeah. It just got bigger and bigger with retail. I lived and worked in Sydney, and I was there just a couple of weeks ago, actually, which as soon as I land, it's like, I love that place. It's just so nice to be so great to live there. But all my family, my children are grown now, but they've all started to move back to Auckland, get married and have children of their own. So there's no, be a bit weird now if mum disappeared and went on an OE, so that's not going to happen. But hey, I love New Zealand. I love all things New Zealand.
Yeah. Oh, that's
all
fantastic.
brands, everything. Yeah.
And how did you get to Mitre 10? How long have you been there?
I've been there about 8.5 years, actually. I'm finishing in December and going to have a bit of a holiday. Got a few different things on the go. But be a holiday first. Yeah.
Is this like another 180?
No, I don't know.
Are you going to start a dance troupe in the Savannah?
Yeah, I don't know that it'd be a dance troupe. I did always say that if the CE thing didn't work out, being a florist would have been a really good second
It is a 180. Okay, this is you foreshadowing so that the family's comfortable when they see this. They're like, oh, mum's going to start a flower chain. And it won't be like some tiny flower chain. It'll be like some, you'll just take over like
it would have to be mega flowers.
Mega flowers, hostile takeover.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
But I love I like the idea of something creative.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, awesome.
Elena's notes did have CEO of Mitre 10, open brackets for now, ... close brackets. I was wondering whether that was a private note she wasn't expecting to share. But good, everyone's aware.
Yeah. No, look, it's been wonderful. It's a wonderful brand.
Yeah.
Wonderful business. Fantastic people. Great customers. I love how customers write to me. And team write.
Any interesting ones to share?
Oh gosh, all kinds. I can't think of anything too funny right now. I think in our sustainability space, we get the most interesting ones. Those that sort of write and on the attack, saying that I know when we started to do garden pot recycle, this was just a complete conspiracy, and there were no garden pots being recycled. It was just a marketing front.
They're all being ground and shipped as fake cocaine.
Yeah, I don't know, but I love, we've got our head of sustainability, Julie, is so hard case. She just took this guy head on and basically just really said, come, invite you to come along, see the whole facility, see what's happening with the pot, see the full circularity, and really happy to show you the whole lot. So she's really hard case, but yes, you get some interesting stuff. Yeah.
I mean, that is a problem with recycling is
greenwashing.
Recycling.
People worry about it. It's real. We get a lot of inquiries about that.
It's still a challenge across the industry. Like a lot of even recycled plastics eventually do end up in landfill because they can only be recycled so many times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But then also it's all subcontracting all the way down, right? And so if you ship it off to some other country that has committed to recycle it because they're the one that has the big machine that can handle that type of plastic and they just burn it instead, it's very difficult to get an audit trail.
Yeah.
But you can. Today you can.
Yeah.
And we do that. And we're really upfront about that. It's really important to us. And I think that's why we've stuck to some very simple things that kind of make sense to customers in terms of, recycling garden pots. If you're the biggest garden centre in the country, you've got a responsibility to do it. We could do lots of things in sustainability, but we've chosen to do just a few things. And we continue to get that process better, Hamish. Like we've removed all the courier costs and elements now within that, with just going with one organisation that can do the lot, turn it into resin. But look, I'd love to sit here and say that we wash them and leave the pot as is and reuse it, but the technology and everything just isn't there to be able to do that. So it does get converted into resin that then gets made into new pots. But I'm sure in time that will just continue to get better.
Yeah, as long as the focus is kept. The focus seems to wane in and out. Based on lots of different things, not just Mitre 10, I think just ESG focus in general.
Yeah, that's been interesting. We were talking about that think tank that I was at recently, and I think that was quite big for me compared to 3 years ago, where we talked so much about sustainability and planet and energy. This time it was the voice was still there in the room, but it was smaller. And then I guess you look out there and you see government. What have they done? Halved the methane commitments. Yeah.
A lot of backtracking on a lot of stuff.
And you get that there's real economic pressures and stuff going on for folk at the moment and governments, and it's a global thing. But I think it's really important we stay the course on sustainability. It worries me that you can have all these signals coming that now actually money's more important or the military's more important, etc. And hey, some folk probably think it is, but you got to hold a baseline there somewhere and stay the course.
Yeah, the amazing thing is we seem to prioritize other things in society like sports and like I don't know. There's a lot in a government's budget that you could argue is one way or another. You could argue is less important than the air you breathe.
Yeah, it's because it's like a whole iterative process, right? Like no one's sitting down and from first principles calculating all of the data from all of society around all the competing benefits, and then saying, well, here's the best place to allocate the money. You're making a decision on a case-by-case basis, right? So when you're looking at that sports stadium investment, yes, you're probably thinking, well, there's going to be an opportunity cost to spending this money, but you've not got an exhaustive list of exactly all of the knock-on butterfly effects that spending that money on the sports stadium will have, both positive and negative. It's kind of impossible for humans to do that.
Yeah,
I think so, particularly for governments. I think you're right. Like they will always be very reactive, right? And what is it? Sort of run with the foxes and hunt with the hounds.
Yeah.
But I think you are seeing like banks are staying the course on the sustainability piece. They're offering 0% loans.
Yeah. The Aussies
on
are.
green, but New Zealand banks are too.
Yeah.
So you can get that here. So I'm really pleased about that, and I think it's flipped from the need for heavy incentives and rebates and things. I think more organisations and finance institutions are doing the right things now, not expecting government to step in. I think we're past that tipping point, which is a good thing. But how do you keep that conversation alive when folk have so much more?
Yeah, I think one of the difficulties with the strategy for decarbonisation is that it's a bit scattergun. It's like, hey, we have to do wind farms and solar and convert the fleet to convert the fleet to electric and all of the stuff. But I think we should probably be eating our breakfast at largest piece on the plate first. And concrete, pouring concrete, and concrete is like 30% of carbon emissions globally. So like, if all governments just focused on developing a carbon neutral or carbon sink concrete, you'd eventually, even if it took 10 years, you'd probably have a greater impact by just focusing everyone on a single thing instead of trying to go after everything at the same time. And then move to electrification of vehicles and stuff like that is the next largest problem. But fundamentally, petroleum, the cost of petroleum is.
For millions of years, nature took all the carbon and stuck it underground, and we're just digging it all up and setting it on fire.
Yeah.
Did you know? Literally, people that kind of don't think about that, but like combustion engines and gas turbines and all those things, that's just fire, right? Like it's a controlled, contained form, but we're still literally just burning all that stuff that we've dug out of the ground.
Yeah. Did you know coal can never be made again? Because it's like some kind of... It's the peating process, basically.
Okay, right.
Decompression. Yeah. So all the coal in the world, there's no new coal forming because of the process that it went through. Yeah.
It takes a really long time to make oil.
Yeah. I don't know if people have realized that.
Yeah, and there's not that many dinosaurs that we can just stick underground these days.
Yeah. So moving into retail, I mean, you'd probably have to pick up a lot of new stuff. Or is it?
All business is just people, right?
Yeah.
It's just a people business.
Yeah.
And I think of it as a bit of a game, the retail game. What's gonna make you decide you're gonna go to Waiheke for the weekend, or you're gonna buy some outdoor furniture?
Is that what you like about it? It's like psychology.
Yeah. I do. I see it as I love market share is my favourite topic.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love to win as well.
Yeah, nice.
I think if you're in retail, you love to win.
Yeah.
Highly competitive. Talking market share and taking market share from competitors. Yeah, it's like a sport. Retail is like a sport.
Yeah. And is Bunnings losing?
Hey, they're all losing. We've been growing market share, both in our retail and our trade business, which is very, very cool. We've not managed to do that historically in an economic downturn.
Yeah.
So this will be the first time that Mitre 10 has done that.
Yeah. Bunnings Warehouse, slightly less market share than Mitre 10.
Yeah, love it. We're doing well in market share, but it's just keeping in touch with customers. It's really interesting. So I was thinking about talking with you today and thinking about the whole digital piece, and a big part of that. We're in a 5-year digital transformation. It's had highs and lows with that, as these things do. Since I am on the job market, I will say that I would do another one.
Yeah. Oh, great.
But I've probably come full circle though, in thinking of not completely full circle, maybe to your point 180, and thinking about the whole digital into retail and what customers are expecting. I think and this is an opinion of one, but I think I've got to a point now of thinking when I go into a store, any customer comes into a store, we might have been doom scrolling, we might have been looking for inspiration, doing all sorts of stuff on digital at home. But if I've actually got in the car and come to your store, I'm actually looking for an interaction. So don't just let me loose in the store with digital screens everywhere. I could have just done that at home. And I think we've had a couple of attempts over the years. I think we were early adopters because many years ago, I think when the first iPads came out, we kind of got on a bit of a high with that about digital for retail and put them all in stores, and they sort of gathered a bit of dust, and I think you'll find one in the bottom drawer of every store office around the country.
Around the world.
Probably around the world. But then, you'd be good to say you learned from your first mistake. Then I think we've done it again on a couple of things. And I think the pieces of digital that really do work is if you're coming in and you're talking to me, let's say we're at the paint counter or whatever, and we've got digital there that we're both using just as an endless aisle or a paint calculator for how big's your room, how much paint are you going to need, like basic, like just using it as part of a conversation, I think it's working. But if you're just going to pop the stuff there and expect a customer to stand in front of it and interact with it. And I know travelled to Home Depot in the States a few years ago, and they'd shut down all of their inspiration showrooms, practically closed them down in their stores. The kitchen and bathroom showrooms gone, and they had these massive screens, like far out. It was almost like a mini movie theatre. And customers were now going to stand at that screen and tap the up or the down button for all these different kitchen options. And I just remember standing there thinking, God, I just feel like a complete dick coming in here and doing that. I just don't think that I would not do that.
Yeah.
They've now taken all those things out.
Do you think it's because you have to design a user interface for such a broad user base?
I think it's advertising. So the thing that reminded me of is they've also, on fridges, they're replacing the glass doors on fridges with TV screens that show you a picture of what's inside the fridge, so that, instead of just looking in and seeing, oh, this is the fridge with Coke and there's 4 bottles, you can look at the screen and say, oh, that's the spot with Coke and there's 4 bottles. But the advantage of doing it, there is a fig leaf of ESG, which is that the glass doors are not terribly efficient. And so if you cover it with a TV screen, you can make the fridge a little bit more efficient. So cool, there's your this is why we're doing it.
That is tenuous.
Yeah. But the actual reason they're doing it is so that they can, start doing dynamic pricing and start doing personalization and because now it's a dynamic screen, you can adapt it to what you think is going to get your highest conversion for that user, right? So you can charge Coke to make the Coke bottles slightly bigger than all of the other branded bottles on the screen. Because, you're not guaranteeing it's an exact representation of reality. You can, display special prices either specifically for that user if you know who they are and do digital loyalty. Or even if you don't, you can still sort of track, as their eyes move around the screen. So I think a lot of it is driven by the desire to do more sort of digital personalized marketing, advertising drive.
And I do think there's a place for that though, but I think it's just the mindset the customer's in of when they want to have that engagement. Like, again, I'm unlikely to not have a TV in my living room and watch the fridge instead, right? And I
what?
Sort of,
You don't stare at your fridge door all day? I mean, I
sometimes I'm staring inside the fridge looking for inspiration. But I just think sometimes I think we just go too fast with it and don't actually really think about what's the mindset that a customer, like what's their mission, I guess. What mission are they on today? Yeah,
and there's this pursuit of over-engineering. Sometimes the definition of done-in products is something that's really hard for a lot of companies to live with. There's this one computer library called zlib, and all it does is it compresses files. It's been around since the 90s, and the author refuses to add any features. Like, he's just like, it's done. It was supposed to compress files. It compresses files. Unless it's a security problem, I'm not adding a line of code to it. And, you think about car mirrors on doors, on EVs and stuff, right? Like, they claim it's aerodynamics, but there's so many other things that you could do for aerodynamics. And they've taken off the mirror on the side of a door and they put in screens on the inside of the vehicle to get rid of the mirrors. Oh. And it's like the product companies continuously seem to add features when, the fridge door, I would argue, is a complete product. Like, there's no further optimization apart from insulation required on the old fridge door.
Sometimes it's like an optimization and then you ignore the cost of that optimization. So, I mean, I don't know, but I think I was reading somewhere that the part of the reason they do those car door mirrors is because they're one of the highest claims for insurance.
Well,
Right,
they
because
would
they
be
stick
where
out.
I live.
Yeah.
Little tiny narrow streets where everyone's parked up on the footpaths and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Does
so
the
when
car manufacturer care
because
about that?
for the first 5 years they're like not necessarily on the hook.
Oh, yeah.
Right, but they're like, so they're like, how do we? But that's the optimization problem, right? Is like, how do we stop our car mirrors from getting broken? Oh, well, just don't have car mirrors. Put the screen. But then you go down this extreme complexified solution in order to solve this. I mean, it's a problem, but is it worth the trade-off in the solution?
Well, I
right?
thought they'd already fixed it with them folding in, right?
That was the first generation of the fix. Yeah.
I would have thought make them cheaper.
Well, but no, that's because they
Sell
actually
them
made
at
them
the
more expensive.
supermarket.
Because with the 360 cameras now, they've got the camera
true.
in the. So there's a whole chain of decisions that led to that.
Yeah.
Same with the fridge door, right? Like it wasn't just for advertising. I'm sure there were all sorts of reasons why they thought that was a good solution. But the outcome is you go into a store and 3 of the 6 fridges aren't showing what's in them anymore because the screen broke or the software wasn't updated or
The software, these
and then
hardware
the whole family starves because it's probably generating the grocery list, right?
The interesting thing is a lot of these hardware companies are just really bad at software as well. So they'll add all of this beautiful, and we saw this in automobiles where, they had the infotainment systems lagged for years, and it wasn't until a software company started to make cars that everyone was like, oh crap, like our user experience actually needs to be a lot better. And then you saw this massive race to improve all of the infotainment.
Well, I just bought my first EV this year, and so I've got a 10-year-old petrol car that I've loved, and I couldn't bear to part with it. So I don't know if I've done anything bad to the planet and just holding it as well.
No,
so it's just going to gather
carbon cost is
dust
sunk
until
on
I
that,
can until I can actually move it on. But I'm in an absolute technology struggle with this new car. Who thinks it knows more than I do about how to drive? So 10 years is a long time in technology, right? Like my maps weren't even relevant in my old car anymore, so you just didn't use that. But this one's constantly telling me off for being too, looking like I'm going to veer out of the lane, grabbing the steering wheel from me. I don't drive drunk or anything. I just want to put that out there. I think it's obviously in that interim state before self-driving.
Yeah.
So it's super smart and just wants to control the car.
Yeah.
And wants me to stop controlling the car. So we're just in this constant battle. It's quite exhausting. I thought to myself, I don't know that I could drive this thing to Wellington as an example. It feels like a fight.
My car slammed on the brakes this morning because it thought I was going to run into the car in front of it.
That's exactly
it was going
what
around
I
a
mean.
chicane and there was a parked car. And so it didn't realize I was going to, drive around the car. It was like, nope, you've got to. But actually, some of that, it's not the car manufacturers. It's the car manufacturer's fault that it's bad. But the EU has mandated a lot of these safety features are in cars. And then the car manufacturers are like, well, we have to put it in cars for EU. We're just going to put it in
cheapest
everywhere.
version we can.
And we're going to just do it the cheap, whatever gets us the
tick.
Gets us the tick.
Okay. Oh, well, that's good to know.
And what used to happen is they would then have a secret way of disabling it. So everyone in the know would just turn off all the safety features. But the EU got wind of that. And now they're like, and part of the compliance test is you're not allowed to have any way that can be, this can be disabled
you can only turn it off.
Yeah, you can turn it off while you're in it, and then
Yeah.
it's back on again the next minute you start it. Yeah, I found that out.
Yeah, we're in. Well, mind you, Tesla's enabled full self drive, and there's a couple of Chinese startups, Pony in particular, Pony AI. It's really interesting because they're all trained on behavioral data from the cameras on the cars, and the Tesla system is trained on left-hand drive, mostly Western roads, because a lot of their data was pre their entry into China. And then Pony is like all Southeast Asian countries. So like there's jokes about how Pony isn't a self-driving system. It's like a human psychology system because we've all seen roads in China or Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah, I used to drive my motorcycle in Thailand.
But apparently the Pony system is like, hey, look, this white line is for decoration. What are the people actually going to do on the road? Whereas the Tesla system actually pays attention to like road signs and stuff like that. Yeah. But interestingly, the Pony AI, I think, has a lower crash rate because it's the neural networks are trained on literally what it thinks is going to happen, which is a lot closer to pure chaos than the Tesla system.
Interesting.
I've heard the activation in New Zealand, because it's trained on so much the left-hand drive vehicles, the activation in New Zealand on the Teslas, if there's no vehicle in the opposing lane and it's turning left, it veers into the wrong lane.
Oh yeah, because it's just trained so much.
Yeah, because it's trained so much on left-hand drive vehicles.
Yeah.
But apparently it's incredible. So it's not far away.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
which-
think I'd rather have the self-drive right now than the halfway house of it slamming on the brakes on your behalf.
Yeah. Although even with Tesla, right there's I forget what the levels are. They've divided the levels up of like how self-driving your car is, and the EV I have, and sounds like the one you have as well, is like level 3 or 4, which is basically just it constantly annoys you with indication, but you're ultimately in control, except in some situations where it will like slightly remove control from you for a bit. And Tesla's one away from the actually useful one. The actually useful one is you can go to sleep in your car and it'll just get you to where you want to go and you don't have to pay attention. And Tesla's is like, we'll do that all the time, except when there's an emergency, at which point we will hand over control to the human driver.
And hope you're awake.
Like half a second to spare and go, sorry,
You're on your
I
own.
think I made a mistake. Your problem now.
No, I think what it will actually say is like, oh, Mum. Oh, you better take over. I feel like there is a certain they haven't thought this through. Like, it's an all or nothing gambit. There is like, you can't have a system that bails. You literally can't. So if you're going for full self-driving, it has to be full and utter complete self-driving to the point where there's no steering wheel in the car.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then on a more serious note, the only feature I wanted, which I couldn't get unless I bought a Tesla, I wanted to be able to lock my car with my dogs in it and have aircon on, which only Tesla does. So couldn't get that.
Oh.
Yeah. I
I
sort of
think they
that
might
should
have
just be
patented
right
it,
up there.
because I can go into the app on my phone and turn the aircon on and off and it will stay on, but it doesn't, like, you can't get out of the car and have the aircon stay on. You've got to lock the car, it turns off, then go into the app and then turn it back on again. So yeah, it feels like a
I've patented it.
What a great feature, right? A great feature.
Well, I remember when the cars came out, they were just like lauded because, they didn't have the big lug of metal in the front. So whenever they crashed, people would just walk away from like 150 kilometer an hour head on. And it was just like, it's because there's nothing in there that'll hurt you. And then, rollover protection and all of the FSD just 10 years ago was insane. There's like these videos of, on YouTube, I remember showing my dad because he didn't believe me. He's like, they've been promising flying cars for 100 years. And I was like, no, this is about as close as we're going to get. And it just, you hear the Tesla, and then like 2 seconds elapses and the car, like 9 cars in front, starts rolling, and then the next car and the next car. And by this time, the Tesla's like completely pulled over just because the camera saw the edge of a crash like 50 meters up front. So there's definitely, that's where computers and things like artificial intelligence are particularly good, right?
Yes.
So I just don't know how they're going to combine the two, because that would be the ultimate. Is like, actually, if it wasn't full self-drive, it was like a co-pilot, like a proper co-pilot. That would actually be the best customer experience, I think.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
And they try to do that with their little screen that shows you your surround view, right? Because like we have 2 eyes that are in the front of our head. We have one brain. We can only pay attention to one thing at once. No such limitation on AI, right? They can get a full view of the car, know exactly what's going on behind you to the sides. No such thing as a blind spot. But how do you get that into the human brain to make that useful information, right? So Tesla has the screen, it shows you like all of the different roads that it's aware about and all of the different cars. So it can give you more information. My car's a lot dumber and it just has a little orange light on the mirror when you're going to turn left or right to tell you there's something in your blind spot.
Me too.
But that's still like, how many people pay attention to that screen before they pull out, right? Like, in some ways, I'm waiting for full self-driving to be good enough to be mandated so that I don't have to put up with the humans on the road.
Yeah, the humans are the real risk.
Pretty terrible.
Yeah.
And that's when it gets great, when you think about what technology can do, right? I remember my father having to sit his driver's license after the age of 80 every year. The thought of our elderly folk being able to remain independent because they're not actually having to drive, or other people with other forms of disabilities. It's pretty cool.
Or just the needless loss of life. Like someone crosses the center line, the other person's doing the right thing, and Like, yeah.
So there's a lot of good to like about that. It's interesting you're talking about, adding that bit onto AI that it starts to become more useful. That's the area that, getting back to personalisation and trying to make usefulness out of stuff. That's a big focus for us right now. We've had a team using, developing reporting and whatnot with AI, but to actually link that with true business insights, actually then can spit it out into something more useful for the team to do. And we're not there yet, but I imagine we'll get to a point where all of the background knowledge, whether it's cameras in store, looking at where your gaps are, what's selling fast, all of that, just feeding into real time, or even doesn't even have to be real time in retail. It could be a lag of a few hours, but just knowing that camping's just taking off.
Yeah, something's going on.
And just some triggers there of, for line zone managers, if you thought about moving some camping to the seasonal pad right there at the front of the store or something, because customers are shopping it a lot at the moment.
Yeah.
These are things that we humans do get to and do realise when you slow down, you have a look at your sales reports and whatnot, but you might have missed the window.
Yeah.
Particularly if you've got stock. Been in our stores, we've got stock right up to the gunnels type things. If you've got stock up on what we call the 05s, that you actually got to close off aisles to be able to get that stock down. So to actually just have that real-time stuff, just making things just easier for team
Faster
and easier
and
for
stuff.
customers.
Yeah.
And it's basic stuff, but I think that's the stuff that I get the most excited about.
Yeah. So it's like an assistant for the entire store operations in a way. Yeah,
but not just spitting out a report, actually getting some insights from it.
Yeah.
Because of that, think about these things.
Do you think like hyper-personalization, so like Hamish walks in and they immediately know he's looking for a extra small dog kennel?
Yeah. Don't bother showing me big dog kennels.
Do you think that customer experience will be expected one day, or is it one of those things where
I don't know? It's kind of, there's a fine line right between being helpful and being creepy in this.
And also sometimes people go shopping just to wonder a bit, right?
Well, we have quite a long dwell time in our stores, and of course I want to believe that's because people have fun in our stores and like it and just want to, walk up and down the aisles with power tools. As an aside, we're one of the most popular things for like 7 to 8 year olds to want to do with their dads on the weekend, and I think it's because they just love seeing dad so happy.
Yeah.
I think that's why they want to go to a mega store. But yeah, I think you've got to get that balance right. So I think you've just got to keep talking to customers.
Yeah.
I think you can serve that type of personalisation up on the device because just about every purchase is starting online at some point now.
Yeah.
But if you're actually coming into store and you're actually not on a mission, you haven't saved something to your wish list online or something, then actually don't get too creepy. I would say.
I'd agree with
but
that.
we put in some recent tech, which is, we're definitely not bleeding edge on this. We're probably a bit of a lag, but this tap to flash. So actually through the device, a customer finds a product and they can actually make where we've got our electronic shelf edge labels, actually make it flash in the bay so they can find it easy.
Oh, nice.
And that's taking off. So it feels like a little thing, but if you're it's what I mean about understanding the mission. If you're on a mission that I'm literally racing in there to get something and I'm out, then you don't want to be having dwell time. Don't make me have dwell time. It's the whole supermarket thing of being forced to walk through fruit and veg. And
sometimes when I'm in like a Bunnings or something, it feels like I'm in a Dan Brown novel. Like it's on C75, aisle 3, shelves 9. It's like I'm walking past garden hoses, and then I'm walking past lawnmowers, and I'm looking for like
I can imagine, like based on my experience, unfortunately I do mostly shop at Bunnings just because it's the most convenient to my house. Like petrol stations, I tend to just be like, who's going to be
most
closest?
customers are like that.
But like what my experience with that feature would be, I'm looking at my phone and I'm pushing the button and the label in front of me is flashing on an empty bay. It's like, no, there's 8 in stock, and you're looking at the shelf and going, no, there isn't. It's super convenient to know where they should be, so I'm not going for a hunt to, find the place that they've been moved. But
you need to go that extra 5Ks, I think, Hamish, and go to your nearest Mitre.
Nice. Well played.
I think the last time it happened, we actually did find them, but it was, like you said, right up the top, right? So they had the system wasn't smart enough to know, okay, I've got 5. 5, and normally they would be in this bay,
Yeah.
but we sold the one that we brought down and put in the bay, and nobody's moved new stock down into the bay.
It is quite a challenge, right? Like when you've got free shelving like that, like is that one of your top challenges? Like keeping stock in the right place?
We measure all that. So
Yeah.
it's all called gap analysis. And like right now today, it's quite manual. I know that we've got one of our stores, we've got a store manager who's very technically savvy, Wanaka.
Shout out to Wanaka.
Yeah, market Wanaka. And so he's actually using a drone in their store. And so the idea of getting faster with that gap management, I mean, it's obvious, right?
Yeah.
It's a missed sales opportunity, but worse than that, because missing the sales of one thing isn't going to kill your business, but that annoyance for a customer,
they
those
leave
things,
annoyed and
customers
do they blame
hold
you
on to
or-
those grudges. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
it's just like
damn
some
you, Mitre
3-year-old
10, the whole
moving a
brand.
thing.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
whole brand's screwed.
Yeah.
Damn you, Mitre 10 sort of moment. So you've got to avoid those things.
And it's way more of a challenge for you too, right? Because like in a supermarket, you can have 20 items in a particular bay in the shelf because they're all relatively small. But with, houseware, DIY stuff, often there's only space for 1 or 2 items
And
in the shelf anyway.
You've got
So
more than 50,000 SKUs in a store. But no, that we've got good systems in that around avoiding that happening. And yeah, it is a big annoyance for customers. But I think, I've been to places like Walmart and seen the types of technology they're using, which I'm pretty excited about, that will come to Mitre 10. Start to have cameras running on tracks around the top of your aisles, looking down constantly at your bays for real-time information around where your gaps are. I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Both from because sometimes it's not just about things having been sold, they could have been taken, unfortunately, as well.
or damaged is the other thing I'll find sometimes,
Yeah.
right? There'll be one in stock, but when you go there, the box has been like
Oh,
ripped
okay.
open, or like it's
Yeah.
obviously not
sellable.
Not sellable.
Yeah.
How do you business case stuff like this? Because it's, like there's stuff that's like transformative, like big, you get like double-digit return on investment. And there's stuff that's optimization, right? And optimization is one of those things where you have to invest a bit, you get incremental like 0.5 improvement. But if you do that 10 or 15 times, it's actually, so.
Yeah, I think things are moving so quickly now, to be honest, that we had some really early adopters around electronic shelf edge labelling, and their drive to do it was because of the frequency and the amount of tickets, with tens of thousands of SKUs changing price tickets, and having labour having to go around and do that and see where sometimes it was the biggest issue was where's their shelf where there isn't a price, a customer doesn't know what something costs. So they put in electronic shelf edge labelling, but I mean, I'm talking maybe 5 or 6 years ago now, actually even longer ago for our Wellington stores. They were probably the first ones that did it. That was all the tech offered then.
Yeah.
Whereas now, TikTok, you've got the ability now to have small cameras in the back of these labels, actually looking back into the bay, doing things like I said around actual gap analysis, stock taking.
Yeah.
So far more useful insights.
Yeah.
And I think so it becomes easier and easier to then build a business case where it's not just your ticketing person.
Yeah.
It's probably your stock taking, the way you stock take, the frequency of stock take. There's a real cost that can be easily modelled about what a gap on a shelf costs you. If that item's sold 30 a day and it's not there, if it takes you a week till the stock person comes back round and notices that.
Yeah.
So I think it's far, and of course the cost of ESLs come down so much as well. That used to cost a good, couple of $100,000 to put that through a store. It's pretty hard to business case that.
Yeah. Whereas now they're all solid state now, right? No moving parts and, they're e-ink and whatnot. So the cost per label is like in the sense now.
Yeah, and you've got far better, you can embed QR codes now and everything. So customers can even get a bit more info if they want to see a video on how do I actually use that water blaster? What are the attachments that come with it? And we see customers doing a bit of that.
Yeah.
We haven't got ESL through all of our stores, but it will get there eventually. Yeah.
Has that changed your approach to pricing? Because obviously now that you can change the prices without having to, send out a change notice and get the new labels printed out and make sure all the staff have reapplied the price, you can be both more consistent and more frequent in terms of price updates. And so you can do sales more often, but you can also be more supplier market.
Yeah, we're not that way. Like, I know what you're saying. Like, you have got places in the States, particularly the big appliance stores. In fact, I think even appliance stores here, large appliances, right, they're really dynamically priced to be competitive. So, no, we're not doing that. Again, there's a fine line between having updated, accurate pricing and constantly changing pricing. I just don't think our customers would feel cool about that. But obviously, there's things that are far more competitive. We've got a price guarantee, as does our biggest competitor, and so we are watching the pricing on those items that we get price guaranteed on the most frequent. But it's more about the accuracy of pricing. You know, I'm far more confident that a store with electronic shelf edge labelling will have the most up-to-date price file, in a store where it's all manually put round, something could have been missed. Yeah, and it wouldn't be a good experience as a customer to get up to the till and have it different to what you thought. So that's what we're trying to eliminate. Yeah,
and top 3 tips for digital transformation?
Top 3 tips, I think.
Especially with a cooperative, I think that's kind of unique.
We've. I think we've pretty proud actually of our membership. It was a big punt to do this, big capital investment for them to do. I think if I was to do another one again, what have I learnt and would do better next time? I think I would, because we've lived with both legacy state and our new tech for a period of time. And we're deploying now in stores. So we're at the end of it and deploying to stores. So we've still got some stores on legacy technology. So those integrations have been vital. So I think upfront probably would have invested in far more architects understanding current state. Really understanding our current state systems.
Little changes that are documented but not to the...
we had some very good architects, but probably not enough, and probably didn't spend enough time there before we then got into high-level design and then detailed design. I think understanding that. I think making a decision as to whether or not you will be the system integrator or you're prepared to pay a premium and contract that out. I think that's something that... whether you're the business owner or executive team or the CEO or the board, you need to really understand the implications of that. And the only thing that hasn't gone that well for us was the one thing we went big bang with all at once, impacting all of our stores and all of our supply partners with, and that was accounts payable, which sounds like such a vanilla thing, like what could possibly go wrong? And that was the hardest thing we did. So I think the approach we've taken to everything else about smaller bite-sized chunks
has been the way to do it.
Has been the way to do it. And so it's taken time, but you're a business running 7 days a week. And you've got to be able to ensure you've got that uptime, right? All
very handy tips. I think... because you've been doing the transformation for about 5 years, right? So, you know, AI came out of nowhere in that period, right? It's only been about 32 months since ChatGPT entered the zeitgeist. Has there been any sort of pivots into that, or is that sort of seen as a next stage kind of thing?
No, we've absolutely, and that's been quite... I was really proud of that moment too, actually, because you have a team. It's almost you've got the people in the trenches, because these things are hard, right? And it just feels like it's ongoing. And I can remember having a conversation, I won't mention who they are, but a couple of my senior team around... because of course a big part of ours wasn't just replacing the tech, it was changing the whole operating model of centralising what makes sense. Like, why would we have every one of these independently owned stores doing their own back office finance and everything else? What can we standardise to then be able to centralise? And if a customer didn't care about it, ultimately, why are you doing it at stores? Kind of what I used to say a lot. So then, of course, we developed this operating model of what would centralise, what would stay at stores, what mattered on those values. And then, of course, AI's come into it, and it's like, well, hold up. You know, we can probably, things that might not have made sense productivity-wise before to have standardised and centralised, wherever the centralisation was, maybe now with thinking about AI agents, where a lot of repetitive work's being done, we should now rethink that. And I remember having this conversation in a couple of my seats. I could just see this just glazed over look come on, and I got it right because it's literally like back
It does
after
sound
the
sci-fi, right?
Well, it's like after the Great Depression, right, where everyone was building railway tracks. It's like they can see the end in sight, that we've got a plan, we know what we're doing, one railway sleeper after the other. Don't be coming in and coming up with cray-cray new ways that we could do things, because we can see the station, we just want to get the job done. But that was only a temporary glaze over. They've now really got behind that, and that is absolutely something that we're looking at doing, and it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste time thinking if we'd had AI at the commencement of this program, would we have done a huge amount differently? I don't think there's anything to be gained in that. I think we're in such a prime position now, having all of this foundational tech that we're all sharing data in one place. Like, we didn't even know how many people worked for us 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We didn't know. We didn't have visibility. Like, now we've got HRIS
Yeah, you'd have to go around to each store owner and be like, hey, what's your count?
So the visibility we have now of everything is just phenomenal. So we've got all that in place, and now it's about what do we do next gen. I think some of the things that we've built will potentially now need to be reimagined in a positive way, removing cost from architecture, and that'll be things like all the integration layers, that'll just be so completely reimagined, right? It's already being reimagined.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
So we need to be able to shift with that, but I think that will all be seen as opportunity for cost coming out of what we've built and the ongoing. Software as a service is a big cost now for our business that wasn't there before. We had 1994 technology. Retailers love to sweat the assets. We certainly did that.
Yeah.
So this is a whole new world from a cost perspective. So you're going to need to be constantly looking at how can you just work smarter with that and get the cost out.
And keep an eye on that US dollar fluctuation.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
You've brought you got rid of your car mirrors, and now you've got the cost of maintaining the software.
Yeah, but I just think of our team now. I had someone say yesterday, it was a pretty cool analogy that it's like where we feel, how they feel right now. They're one of our first stores that went live. They said they feel like they've got the brand new iPhone and they're only using it for voice and text at the moment, because they're just needing to, because I've had to relearn everything end to end in their store. And that's quite tough for people who've built pride in knowing their job, their tasking, how everything works from wall to wall. It's huge change management.
Yeah, and especially because the job to be done is like run the store, not work software, So I think that's always at odds with, businesses that aren't fundamentally, they're older businesses that aren't fundamentally technology businesses.
Yeah, but then again too, if I think about our workforce, we're pretty proud of the fact 23% of our workforce are aged over 60.
Yeah.
We're a place where tradies that are tired of crawling into roof spaces come to for a great culture and that great next stage. So, but a lot of them, they've been on the tools all their life.
Yeah.
They've avoided the computer, and now they're even in a store environment. They don't really want to go to a computer and look things up. So I think the next step with AI through like wearable tech and being able to just use natural language and just get information as they're there in front of a customer. To your point, Hamish, says there should be 8 of these here. Where are they? Are they in inwards goods or whatnot? And getting answers. I think that's going to maybe leapfrog another whole barrier we've had in training and adoption by team around tech.
Yeah.
And I think as we've got an ageing population and people needing to stay in the workforce for longer, God help us if the retirement age has to go up again, I think to ensure that these folk aren't left behind, I think AI coming in with new ways of doing stuff will be really good for them.
Yeah, seriously, some of the UX, I was just complaining about an app I was using just before to pay for parking, and the UX on it was just like...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we probably shouldn't we'll probably cut that out, but or not. Actually, let's keep it in.
Yeah.
The UX is horrible.
We're not
It went from like functional and basic to like, why is there a swipey dial thing?
Yeah, and especially it defaults to the maximum level of.
We're about to go on a side quest here, Andrea. Buckle in.
You start to do your parking, and you select your region, and then it says your parking for today will be $280.
Yeah,
and you're like, what? I'm just parking on a site. And then you realize eventually, if you're paying attention, that's the price for the maximum time you're allowed to park, which outside the studio here is all day, because it defaults to the longest possible time. Now, there's actually a good reason for that, which is you can stop it at any time, right? So that's your maximum charge. But if I went out now and clicked the stop button, it would only charge me the $3 or whatever I've already racked up.
Right.
Okay. Whereas if you defaulted to a short period of time, people are probably just going to accept the short version, then get a ticket because they didn't pay for enough parking. And then, so there's a great underlying reason that's just been completely bodied by just the worst possible failure to explain that decision.
But also, did the person that designed this thing, do they not park? Like, are they using the bus? Is that what happened here? The designer that was building this app has never parked a car in their entire life during business hours. It's actually mind-blowing that we still, in this day and age, after a complete app refresh, absolutely obliterate the UX on the most important part of the app. Yeah. It's just like, that's the thing that gives me comfort that AGI is not coming anytime soon, because we're still, it's still hard. It's still hard to get it right? Because I imagine that dial had a lot of opinions. So this poor UX person that was probably in charge of it probably heard from like 20 different people, like 20 different things to be, and they probably just were like, look, I'm just going to set it to max. It started off as a good idea. I'm just going to set it to max, and then, whatever happens, happens. And I think that's just the world that I think the biggest limiter to technology is like consensus and sort of stakeholder buy-in and all of that stuff. And it's completely embodied by that screen. Because I doubt that was one person's opinion of how that should work.
And that's like both my fear and my hope for AI in the same problem, right? I hate using terrible software, and there is so much terrible software around. And a lot of it is because of the cost, right? Like, it is expensive to develop good software. It takes a long time, to the point that often companies won't do it at all because it just doesn't make sense financially to build their own custom software. So AI might let us have actually good software, all the things you use right now where your car yells at you and tells you to do things that you're already doing or are wrong, that every website you interact with that does something dumb, or your parking app, they could all get way better, maybe. On the other hand, we can't manage it.
Maybe they could get way worse. It's interesting with AI. I swing between super excited about the things I can see it being able to do in our business to just be better. And then I also worry about the risks. And I look at some of the things that get generated by maybe some of our more junior people at the moment, and it's not prolific, but there's the odd thing, and you sort of think, oh gosh, you've really just used AI as autocorrect on Macs. There's like no critical thinking's really come into this. And so I think we've still got a lot to work out around the risk and the giving advice and whatnot around, like, it's one thing to have policies and things about the governance and things, but what about just basic instructions around how you should be using this in the workplace? I think it'll be, because it's so confident, AI, isn't it? If you're talking, if
so
you're in Copilot and
oriented.
it's just so knows all the answers, and your whole bullshit button kind of develops over life, right? I do wonder.
That's a good way to phrase it.
I do wonder about that. I think I had my son challenge me, and I thought it was a really good challenge, because I was going on about how great AI was. Lots of us are using them in the workplace. He said, Mum, I want you to go in and actually ask a bunch of questions of AI about something that you know a lot about. Said, then tell me how good it is. And I thought, it's not only wrong sometimes, it also lies, right? Lies with such extreme confidence.
Confident. Yeah.
It's part of the way that they're trained, right? So, and this is actually a significant area of research. Whether they fix it or not, it's difficult to resolve. But the way they're trained, there's a final stage where it's basically like a human ranking the output of the AI to say, this is a good output, this is a bad output, which one is better. But those humans, they don't know everything, and they don't have time to go and thoroughly research every answer that comes out.
They're not getting PhDs to do the data labeling as well,
They're getting
right?
some of them to do it, but not enough compared to the amount of data they need.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people who are scoring the outputs are doing it on vibes. Yeah. They're doing it on like, this feels right to me. Yeah. And so the AI has become really good at passing vibe check.
Yeah, I just love the confidence of it, even when it's just like blatantly lying. I just find that hilarious. But I think that's just the awareness. For me, it's about just having the team all understand that right from a starting position. And, of course, that old adage, don't eat your seed corn. You're still going to need your old guys and girls and the knowledge workers to use that critical thinking.
I think it's like this thing, because it's not a physical thing. I don't think we're great at understanding consequences, right? Like I was talking to a chap on the plane yesterday, and we had a pretty in-depth conversation about all kinds of stuff. And he pointed out something that, like, the agreement we have internationally about how airplanes work is like one of the most amazing, durable social contracts in all of human history. And he's absolutely right. Like security checks, airports, what happens when a plane gets in trouble, whenever a plane goes down, instantly, the whole world is notified that a jack screw needs to be strengthened or made 3 millimeters longer or something like that. We walk onto these airplanes, and there's 2 guys or girls up front that you hand your life over to. And then you just, and you're busy watching Netflix in the back. You're just like complaining about the nuts or the snacks or whatever. And then you're landing in another country, and they're checking your like, it's all social contract. It's all completely a social contract.
That's so true.
We think about national security, right? And what you're saying is that actually you're outsourcing the security of that arriving aircraft to a complete other country.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you are doing some checks here, but like you're fundamentally relying on another countries. And so it's like quite a contrast to how we operate in day-to-day life. And I think AI, there's probably this like social contract that we haven't quite developed with it.
Yeah,
and it's as dangerous as driving a car. Like, people get into a car, it's a 2-ton piece of metal rolling around at 100 kilometers an hour, and people are like texting while they drive or having conversations. It's a little bit like jarring if you were to say, actually, if you hit something, it's a huge problem. I think AI, because it's not a physical thing, we take it for granted. It doesn't mean that the car or the AI doesn't have an incredible amount of utility, but I think people aren't treating it with the same degree of like, hey, I have to be really aware of how I'm using this thing, because if I'm texting while I'm driving and I hit someone, it's a bad.
It's a really good way of putting it. I mean, I love it, and I'm using it
all the time. All the time.
But I'm just really mindful that we don't talk enough about this part in the workplace.
And we humanize it because it feels human. We humanize it way more than it should, right? Like the lying things, I also really find it amusing of my response when it has no shame, when it's called out for lying, right? Like you're like, that is wrong and you are wrong. It's like, oh, brilliant insight. You are right.
Yeah, it just leans into the compliment.
And then just gives you another completely bullshit answer. No, that's wrong too.
Yeah.
Yes, you are right again. How can you be right so often?
It feels like a medieval court and you're the king, right?
But it's not a human at all. There's no concept of shame. It has no persistent memory. I mean, they're sort of adding it kind of into ChatGPT with its memory feature. But in general, like people, it's not a human. It's not learning from the things you type in.
And I don't think people understand that. I had someone refer to it as the drunk at the bar that doesn't remember what it said last night the next day. Yeah. Just not learning from it. And I thought, that's actually a really good analogy. So I think we need to talk about that more, not to not use it, but just to be using it with just
driving lessons,
high awareness. Yeah.
I mean, imagine if your car, every time you put your foot on the brakes, it went, ow.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even though you know it's just a piece of metal that someone has programmed to make that noise, you'd still feel a little bad
you
about
would,
using the
actually.
brake. And then you'd be like, maybe I won't use the brake so much, right? There's just like a natural human...
We love to humanise everything, don't we?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, there's a word that means our tendency to see faces in everything. There's two different words. Yeah, so there's anthropomorphization,
That's the one.
which is just making other things look human. But there's like a specific, like pareidolia or something, which is like we just see, like, you know, you got
like a door handle that looks like a face.
Yeah, or you look at like a plug
Abby.
socket.
No.
It's like, that's a sad face. It's like, no, it's just three lines, right? There's almost nothing in a face. But yeah, we just, you know, we love to make other things be human.
Like us.
Yeah, like us.
Yeah.
Pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Customer expectations?
Yeah, so like you've been doing this digital transformation and, you know, there's been some hopeful benefits from it, right? You've had hopeful benefits for the business, hopeful benefits for the customer experience. Maybe one thing that you found really like aligned with your expectations, or maybe went beyond your expectations, or like this actually worked really well, and like this was a change that I wish we'd been able to make sooner. And then something that was a bit more like, you know, if we'd had perfect foresight, we wouldn't have bothered doing that.
I think the first piece, being a member-owned cooperative, you know, there are a bunch of independently owned businesses. So while we've had some pretty clunky ways for you as a customer to shop across stores, when I say clunky, like to the extreme, what we've done with moving to the one platform, one source of truth, one view of stock file and everything else, is we've actually moved all of the country's customers to one account nationally. Sounds basic because it's what you'd get at any of our competitors, but for us it's been a big piece. So of course we had a whole bunch of thoughts and expectations around customer behaviour that would happen with that. And again, to use your words about humanising everything and believing in loyalty, so far what we've seen is customers shopping more frequently at what we're now calling away stores or fulfillment stores than actually with their preferred store where their account manager is. And it's not that they don't like their account managers, but that was just a surprising piece for us. So it actually doubled down on the benefit of being able to have customers shop everywhere else. That will probably get higher sales from that, because that friction of trying to buy where you don't have an account has been removed. But it did, we think, you think you know everything about your business. It's nice to be surprised sometimes that you probably undershot something. So that's a real positive. If I think on what would be something that I thought would happen that was harder, I think we've probably already touched on that. I really did think centralising something as easy as paying bills would be so easy, and actually just seeing how data and having to get in the newer ERPs, be it SAP, whatever you go with, having to have all of that data so perfect up front and then just watch it just do its thing all the way through the value chain is a beautiful thing until you have crap data up front. And then it's not really a beautiful thing. I think to the same extent of underestimating how impactful that might be and the amount of people that it took to actually work that through. So it's everything is data now in the new world. Our old technology was far more forgiving. You could literally in our old blue screens and Packsoft, you could literally type in the word 3, THREE, or put in the number 3 or put in 03 and still get 3. And now we're in a very Germanic structure of the number needs to be the number, and that's taken a bit of change, it's not as flexible, but it's almost that just set and forget. So that's been the biggest change.
And that's the advantage of a large pool of distributed humans too, right? Is that you can deal with a lot of varied data because you've got people who are focused on, I mean, it's very expensive because you've got just one person focused on like a very small number of data transformations. But that's like for a long time, those systems have just assumed the data would be viewed by a human prior to use.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And certainly that was the case in 1994 where we made our last investment.
It highlights an interesting trend that I talk about with humanoid robots. People are asking, the natural questions like, why do humanoid robots have to look like humans?
Yeah.
And it's because we built the whole world around these old bad boys,
Yeah.
Like everything's the height of a human.
If they want to open a door.
If they want to open the door, you need phalanges.
Yeah.
And so, even you think about a car, or an armchair. It's like it's all based around this human form, and I think the same thing applies in technology, right? So,
Yeah.
And on that bombshell,
So look forward to whatever venture you find next. That will have centralized accounts.
Is that is that your first question? Like, hey, before this goes any further, do you guys have centralized identity?
No, it's certainly, as I said, I'm not put off digital transformation. I've learned a lot.
It's satisfying, isn't it? It's like it's like climbing a mountain.
It's hard stuff, but someone's got to do it, and someone's got to lead it, and it's really interesting watching the psychology of people, often in management roles or even in roles that their job might be digital and their job is changing things for others in an organisation, and then you go to try and change them. Just the psychology of being changed and what you've built your confidence and your muscle in being changed. It's and I think we're just all needing to adapt now. That's just the pace of that. That's going to happen to you probably 3 or 4 times in your career now.
Yeah, I mean, we're in tech. It happens every Tuesday. So
a little bit of a slower run than retail.
Well, it does strike your ego and your self-worth quite rapidly, and you have to like suppress those feelings. Because you're just like, actually, you're just going to react emotionally to a situation you can't really control. So like, you're on for a ride. You might as well grab it with 2 hands, that seems to be the best way to navigate it.
But if you're a person that doesn't particularly, there's things that you don't like being changed. I mean, gosh, I reacted to us removing rubbish bins in the office. Like, why? Had to deal with that. Then we went to being a paperless office, had to get a iPad and not be doing paper. And I was like, I don't really like this either, but I had to do it. And I think those are so low down in the scale of change that have happened to people in our business. But we are now future-ready retailer, and I'm really pleased we are.
Yeah, congrats on getting there.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. So I think that's a good note to end on. Thank you very much.
Why not?
I mean,
guys.
I'm not a judge.
Thank you. That's been great. It's been interesting.
Yeah.
First ever podcast.
Oh, well done. You can show the kids? Yeah.
Yeah.
Your son, who you quoted, is going to be very happy with you.
Yes, he will. He will. He's he's 30 now. When he was about 15, he was bawling me out about all of my media coming from the New Zealand Herald and stuff and things like that, and just saying you need to open up your mind to like global media, like you
smart kid, Andrea. Well done.
I think. Yeah, just different generation, eh?
Yeah.
Go for information in different places.
Just have to multi-source now. Yeah.
Yeah, but even then you can get a bit overwhelmed though, can't you?
Yeah. I've got this app called Ground News.
Yeah, so they sponsor loads of podcasts.
They're not sponsoring ours, but if you wanted to. I was one of your first adopters. I was one of the first 2,000-3,000 users. But basically what it does is it indexes all of your topics, but it's got a political spectrum. And what it does is it aggregates all of the news sources, does a summary, aggregates all of the news sources that this article's reported on, puts them on a political spectrum.
I quite like that.
So it tells you, like, if there's bias inherent, so the far right, far left get the bias tag. It tells you about the percentage of factuality. So Reuters, for example, and BBC tend to gravitate towards the center.
Yeah.
And then it also tells you the ownership structure. So if it's a high net worth or private equity, you can just take that into consideration.
Okay,
so it's quite fascinating.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's got all the typical good sources as well as some of the other ones.
Just on the App Store.
Yeah, it's only $2
Okay.
a month or something.
Alrighty.
It's worth it.
If you view one of the other worse podcasts that aren't us, so I watch the leftist podcast, The Minority Report. They often have like a 50% off deal.
Oh, yeah.
So until we're big enough to have our own sponsorship, hunt down a deal. But yeah, it's worth it.
Okay, very good.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you.
Your son might
Tip for the
appreciate that
day.
too.
Yeah, he might not know about
Yeah.
that. Very good.
Cool.
Thank you.